Hello, I'm Darm again. Today's topic comes from a lot of different questions. Questions around having been in a difficult, toxic situation or relationship with someone who has perhaps very strong narcissistic traits and behaviors. The questions are normally along the lines of, why didn't I see it? Why did I ignore the red flags? How did I end up with someone so toxic? Why did I believe them? And why did I stay for so long? Well, first of all, you have to remember that human beings don't like things that don't make sense. We like to see cause and effect. We like to see patterns. We like to see reasons. And we have this need to know what to do whenever we don't know what to do. And I think that's why we often ruminate and overanalyze things that can be particularly unpleasant, frightening. And today I'm going to try to answer these questions around why. So if you like this video, if you find it helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel for future updates on mental health related topics. But just as a reminder, this video is not a substitute for support from a mental health professional, nor is it a tool to be used to diagnose someone. Now, if you're asking questions like that, the first thing to consider is that people aren't clairvoyant, and hindsight only comes after the event. Experience, if you will, experience is gained. And many narcissists, also they're very accomplished actors. Many have spent a lifetime learning how to gaslight and to say the right thing, to pay attention to people, to learn what to say, what to do in order to reel people in and to get what they want. But even when people do get to see those little indications, those little signs that something just isn't right, what we refer to colloquially as red flags, warning signs, there is still something that keeps them there, that has kept them there in a relationship that maybe just isn't healthy. And there can be a myriad of reasons why people end up in these relationships and why they stay longer than perhaps they should. And I could be talking about attachment styles, trauma bonding, codependency, learned behaviors. I could be talking about transactional analysis and so on. But instead, I'm going to try to sum it up with what I think are the main reasons. And I'm going to focus on the first reason in this video. The second one I'll look at in the next video. Today, I'm going to give an example of why, for want of a better way of putting it, why we allow people to treat us the way they do. And I'm aware of how that might sound to someone, especially someone who's been in or has maybe is still in a very difficult, unhealthy, toxic relationship. But please bear with me, okay? Now, I'd like to begin with an example. Now, the example is a television program I saw. I think it might have been about 10 years ago. The first 10 minutes or so of this program, I thought, wow, that just nails it. So it's the story of a woman she's from the UK, and her daughter had left to travel America. She was a student and she'd ended up joining a cult. Now the story begins with this lady arriving at an airport in America, and she's met by this guy. Now as soon as he meets her, he's rude, he's abrasive, and off they go. They get into the car and off they go. When they're in the car, he asks her, have you got the money? And she says, yes, I've got 20,000 as we agreed. And he immediately comes back with, well, that's for today. That's only for today. It's 20,000 per day plus expenses. And she's getting a bit agitated, a bit frightened. She's saying, well, that's all I have. I thought that was the fee. And he starts shouting at her. He starts berating her. Do you think what I do is cheap? Do you really think your daughter would have left to join a gang of lunatics, this cult, whatever they are, if you weren't such a bad parent? And the woman's getting very distressed. She starts to cry. She says, I don't have any more money. That's all our savings. And he's shouting at her, well, you'll just have to sell your house, cash your pension in, cash your husband's pension in. And the more he's shouting at her, the more she's crying, the more she's getting upset. The more she's doing that, the more he's screaming at her to shut up. The more he's screaming at her to shut up, the more she's apologizing for being upset. And this goes on for a good few minutes until he pulls the car over to the side of the road. And then he gently asks her, he says, I've only known you a few minutes. And in those few minutes, you've allowed me to be rude. You've allowed me to treat you like a doormat. You've allowed me to insult you, your husband, your daughter. I've told you you're going to have to sell your house and so on. And you're sitting there thinking about how you're going to sell your house without your husband knowing. And all this is within a few minutes. Now, why would you do that? And the woman is, of course, she's very confused. She doesn't understand. And then he points out to her, he says, you think I can do something for you. You think I have something you need. You think you need me, and because of that, you are prepared to allow me to treat you any way that I want. And the point he's trying to make to her is there's nothing wrong with your daughter. Your daughter's just been lied to. She's joined a cult because they have led her to believe that they have something she needs, something that she can't do without. Now, like I say, that scene was only a few minutes long, but I thought, wow, that absolutely nails it. The victim thinks the abuser has something they need, something they can't do without. They can give them something that they don't have. Now, that might be money, security, a home, family, whatever it is. They can do something that the victim can't do. They can do it properly because the victim will fail miserably. And some narcissistic people will even try to create situations that has their victim dependent on them, maybe financially dependent on them. Perhaps all the credit cards are in their name, but all the debt is in the victim's name. So the victim needs them in order to be able to pay off the debt. The victim can become isolated socially, so they are maybe dependent on the narcissist, even if it's just for company. Now, in many cases like that, although the promise or the capacity to provide or give whatever it is there for the victim, more often than not, it is constantly withheld, or it is there at a very high price. The victim is led to believe perhaps they haven't done enough to earn it. The victim is maybe ungrateful for all those little breadcrumbs and tidbits that the narcissistic person gives them once in a while. But over a period of time, they keep on giving that person, that narcissistic person, whatever it is they want, in the hope that maybe this time it will be better. Having said that, even there are times when the victim is wise to the behavior and to the situation, but they may feel trapped because of, say, financial concerns, or perhaps because there are children involved. They may even continue to give them what they want in the hope that they don't have to go through that roller coaster of abuse, that emotional roller coaster. So back to the question, I suppose, of how and why. Well, remember, victims are often lied to, especially at first. Because think about it. If a toxic, horrible, nasty person showed their true colours the first time somebody met them, you know what? Chances are there wouldn't be a second date. You know, people would probably have the assertiveness to communicate boundaries or even just leave the situation and not to go back. But they're often lied to, gaslit, manipulated, often a little piece at a time so that you don't really see it. And going back to the why didn't I see the red flags, remember, like I said earlier, none of us are clairvoyant. They might not have been red flags at the time. It's only with hindsight we recognize they were warning signs. So that's part one of how and why, I think anyway, people end up in toxic, difficult relationships and stay longer than perhaps they should. And I'm going to be outlining another reason or two in the next video. But in the meantime, if you have any comments, please use the comment box below. There have been some interesting conversations starting around these videos. And if you like this video, if you found it helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel for future updates on mental health related topics. And until next time, thanks for watching.